Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD and it's time for game number 4 here between MMA and Lucira. Now it's actually currently Tuesday because I've been casting this session straight and I just realized I looked at the clock before this game started. It's past 12 o'clock now, so it is currently Tuesday. I've given you guys calendar updates for God knows what reason. This is going to be a Zerg versus Terran, obviously, game number 4. And this is on Shattered Temple. Now, this was where the finals broadcast for the for MLG Columbus actually began, because remember I mentioned in game 1, the first 3 games were actually how to say, the unextended series, I guess you could say, in the winners round finals, and then these last 2 games were actually played in the championship bracket. Now I've condensed them, I'm casting them all in one order, in one sequence, just to make it less confusing for you guys, because I figured it'd be more confusing to separate them. So this is, once again, MMA versus Lucira. In the last game, MMA just showcased how damn good he is with Marine drops, and I read a comment in one of the previous videos, MMA is Medevac Marine Abuser. I thought that comment was pretty clever, so whoever made that comment, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but I was gonna try to mention it, but that was a pretty damn clever comment, because that's exactly what MMA does, and yes, Asians are indeed cool. Setting myself to busy because you guys know that I will get some strange comments from time to time, and there's actually been times when I've casted and then somebody will send me something absolutely obscene and racist or whatever, and then I have to redo the whole cast. So that's why I do set myself to busy. I don't want random comments coming in here and just completely spoiling the broadcast as I'm doing it. But yeah, this is going to be a Zerg versus Terran, Shattered Temple, the remake of Lost Temple. Much more balanced now for Zerg, and actually in general it's just a good balanced map for all matchups. I would expect to see MMA on a map like this, especially since his opponent has gone for hatchery first. I think we're going to be seeing some kind of a 1 barracks fast expand. In fact, he has no gas yet. He has gotten his barracks down and he's completing his wall off with supply depots. I really think a 1 barracks fast expand is definitely possible here because, yeah, he's saving up 330 minerals already, and as soon as he scouts this fast hatchery, he's going to say to himself, oh, Lucira has gone for a fast hatchery. He doesn't have the early gas, nor does he have the pool down yet, so I should be able to safely get a command center down, and indeed, that is what MMA is going to do. And I would assume MMA is going to quickly grab his natural expansion once he feels safe. He may actually opt to go with some Hellions as well before moving out, but he will need the gas in order to get that going. And yeah, that's strange. He's going to get double gas going after the command center before any barracks are thrown down. So really peculiar build here, and I can't help but wonder what the idea is behind getting the double gases down. Perhaps he is going to actually open up with maybe Blue Flame Hellions after this command center. You never know. MMA is definitely capable of trying everything and everything. We remember on Typhoon Peaks on the last map, MMA showcased not only his Marine Medvac or Medvac Marine abusive strategy, he was also able to use siege tanks very, very well. He was able to siege up and abuse the cliffs wherever possible, and it just shows that MMA is really an executor, so to say, of the Terran army. He knows when to execute the strategy, he knows how to micro his units, and he knows where to place and when to drop, as well as like supreme multitasking, and that's what really has Lucira on his toes. So we'll see what Lucira is going to do this game. He has, of course, gone for the hatchery first. He's just right now droning up, right on par with the Terran player at 22 drones and 22 SCVs. And I don't think he's gonna try anything fishy. Doesn't look like he's gonna try like a Ling Roach all-in or anything like that. And over back to MMA's main, he is gonna be going for a double factory. Alright, so we are gonna be seeing some Hellions here, and there is an Overlord from Lucira, so Lucira is gonna see the factories coming up, and that's gonna be a huge telltale sign as to what is coming from MMA. This absolutely reveals the strategy for MMA right now, and MMA, of course, going for Blue Flame Hellions. And I think that Lucira should be well prepared for Blue Flame. He should probably throw down a Roach Horn somewhere, seeing as how Roaches are really the appropriate counter to Blue Flame Hellions. And yeah, there he's going to be throwing a Roach Horn up, and I like the positioning of this Roach Horn. Note, if Hellions were to come, they will have to actually just take a small long cut around the Roach Horn in order to get inside the main. And this is kind of important because it is going to delay those Hellions that much more if MMA decides to go for some kind of a Hellion run by into the main. So really, the placement of buildings at this high level definitely counts in StarCraft 2. So Lucira, just thinking ahead just a little bit, says, you know what, I see the double factory, I'm going to get that Roach Warren there for two purposes, so I can build Roaches, and of course, so I can block off any Hellions that try to run inside. Now he's also, it looks like he's also getting a Baneling's Nest too, so we may be seeing some kind of a Roach Baneling play. He has now cleared the rocks down to the south, and of course he can now grab the expansion at the 5 o'clock. And we're probably just going to see Lucira try to play this macro style where he absorbs the attack. And no doubt the Hellions and Marines will be coming fairly soon. That Blue Flame upgrade is just seconds away from finishing. I believe MMA, once that Blue Flame upgrade is done, is going to push out. And yeah, he's moving out with all of his Hellions here. That's about 6 Hellions. The Marines leading the party, and they're actually going to be able to take out the Zergling at the Watchtower. But the Hellions revealing themselves to the Zerglings up north. So now Lucira knows, in fact, that there are Blue Flame Hellions coming if he wasn't sure before. And I think he's got enough Roaches and Banelings to deal with this. Note the great creep spread. The Banelings, even though they don't have centrifugal hooks, will be able to catch up to the Marines, which do not have stim. The Marines here trying to run for it, but oh man, that's the problem with leaving the house without drugs. You're not going to be able to run away from the Banelings. And Lucira smacks a beautiful Baneling in the center of all those Marines, and they all just fall down. And now MMA's Hellion harass without the reinforcement of Marines are really quite vulnerable, and I don't think that MMA can make any kind of an attack happen with these Hellions. He's going to try though. Got a couple of Hellions down south. He's going to scope the area at the 6, but there's really no hatchery there to be found. He has still a lot of Hellions up here, and he's probably going to be able to roast his queen up. Ouch! Down goes the queen. Severe 3rd degree burn right there. And MMA here actually has a lot of Hellions he could potentially run in, but no, a couple of Banelings there just waiting to catch those Hellions off guard. And of course the hatchery, the macro hatchery and the Roach Warren both providing and serving a purpose in making it more narrow for the Hellions to try to creep in by the natural expansion. So I love this play by Lucira. He's essentially closed off his natural and made it very, very difficult for Hellions to run on by. This is a very narrow hallway. Originally it was wide open, but the real estate has been closed down and there's Banelings just waiting there. Now Blue Flame Hellions engaging against Roaches, which Lucira is all too happy to fight in that kind of matchup. Roaches are actually really good against Blue Flame. And let's take a gander back at MMA's main. Let's see what he is up to. He's got a couple of barracks with reactor cores and he's pumping out dual Thors? Huh. I am actually scratching my head right now, guys. I have no idea why MMA has decided to go for Thors here. He saw the Roaches. He knows that Lucira here is going for a Roach build. And in all honesty, yeah, Thors are decently good against Roaches, but so are Roaches against Thors. So I don't know why he's building Thors, and it almost looks like he's kind of holding back and waiting for a Mutalisk attack, and really there's no Spire. Lucira right now has absolutely no Spire whatsoever. He has no Mutalisk incoming. It almost looks like MMA here was trying to predict the build, but kind of leveled himself and outthought himself, and now he's kind of screwing himself over because he's got these Thors. They're chilling inside the main, they're not doing anything, and really Roaches, like I said before, are a really good unit against Thors. Oh, but Lucira here is making a lot of Banelings. Now, I don't actually agree with making this many Banelings because remember, guys, MMA right here is going for a very heavy mech build. And, of course, Banelings are not going to be effective against those Thors. I would actually prefer Lucira to keep more Speedlings in this composition rather than Banelings, and I hope he doesn't morph more, because he's gonna, oh man, as I say that, he decides, you know what, screw you, HD, I'm gonna morph like 10 more, 11 more Banelings. So, I think Lucira here was hoping for MMA to be more Marine heavy, but you guys can see MMA is not Marine heavy at all. In fact, both of these players have changed up their build order completely in this game. Look, MMA here is not going for his Marine heavy drop style. He's gone for this, hold that thought, couple of Hellions here, almost getting caught off guard. Really, MMA here has gone for this kind of mech heavy style, and Lucira has also changed up his strategy. He is not going for this the Muta build that he usually goes for. He is sticking with Ling, Baneling, Roach. And I mean, he has a Spire, but you know, that Spire is nice to have, but he doesn't need it to produce units. He's just gonna leave it there in case he needs to make Mutalisks. But in this game, unlike all the others, both these players have gone for entirely different builds. It just goes to show that in StarCraft 2, you need to be flexible, you need to be mastered and well versed in every single possible strategy that you can execute. So both these players here really looking good. Lucira is actually gearing up for an attack here, but MMA has a lot of bunkers placed at his front. Keep in mind, MMA does have an orbital here. He does not have a planetary, and Lucira is actually planning to go in here, trying to trade armies with the Terran player, which is actually a pretty good move, but the Baneling's not able to find the Marines that they need to hit, and of course there's really not even that many Marines after all. And it looks like a couple of them going down. Roaches are still piling in. Lucira has more Banelings to the north though, and Lucira has to back out of there. But I still think that attack, he actually ends up killing a couple of SCVs there, which were trying to repair a building. 15 Harvesters killed for Lucira, and I feel like Lucira may have made that trade equitable. And the reason why is because it's always good to trade with a Terran army that isn't maxed. MMA was not maxed. MMA lost a lot of tanks and Thors in that exchange, and Lucira can quickly and easily rebuild. He's now at 170 supply, underneath or over the supply of MMA, which is at 128. Looks like MMA is going to lose a couple more Hellions, so dash that off his supply chart as well. And Lucira is actually looking really good this game. We may actually see a 2-2 here, guys, because MMA losing a lot of his tanks in the middle and losing those Thors is definitely painful. And now we can actually see, you know, he's not building any more Thors. He's realized, hey, there are no Mutalisks whatsoever. There's no reason to be making Thors at all. He is actually now switching back into a Marine heavy build, and his Marines do have pretty good upgrades at 1-2 apiece, and he's got a dropship going down here, as well as a dropship going up to the north. So smart. MMA is always so good with the dropships, and actually keeping a couple Marines over here to pop off Overlords. Is he going to pop this Overlord off? Usually MMA is very diligent about dropping off Marines to pick off scouting Overlords, but in the meanwhile, Lucira actually making an all-out attack down the center, trying to shove his Banelings down the throat of MMA. MMA here actually in a lot of trouble. He still has tanks up here in the back. The tanks may be enough to hold off Lucira's assault, and Lucira actually fails to break through the tank line to hit the natural expansion. Meanwhile, more Roaches finding their way over to the gold planet, or orbital, not planetary, able to do a little bit of damage. Maybe they're going to be able to kill it, but meanwhile the MMA Marines, the Marine Medvac Abuser has dropped off into the main. He's going to drop, or he has dropped off into the gold. He is going to drop off into the main as well, and MMA has cleared the front door, so right now he is on the offense, trying to even the odds as much as possible, trying to pick off as many drones wherever he can. He is now unloading the Marines down to the bottom right-hand corner. Mutalisks and the Queens combined have killed off the dropship, and this is a very intense game. It looks like MMA was able to pop off the spawning pool in the main. And remember, guys, from Typhoon Peaks, MMA is so good at sniping off Baneling nests and the spawning pool. In fact, I don't even know if Lucira has a Baneling's Nest right now. Yeah, he still has his Baneling's Nest, but he's lost his spawning pool, so he cannot make additional Zerglings. All these Zerglings are all he's gonna get, and Lucira here is in a very awkward timing once again. He's still got Marines inside the main to deal with, and I don't think he's able to multitask enough to deal with this. MMA is just all over the map. He's got tanks in the middle. Finally, Lucira clearing out those Marines inside the main, and oh my god, I can finally catch my breath. I feel like an auctioneer sometimes when I'm casting StarCraft 2, guys. Seriously, there's so much things going on at this high level. It is always an honor to cast players that play at this, you know, absolute extreme level. It looks like Lucira now, once again, going to wear out my voice, and he's going to come in here with a couple of Mutalisks, try to do whatever damage he can. He is actually still in a pretty good spot, even though he's lost his spawning pool. Losing a couple Mutalisks there, not the best. And he has rebuilt his pool, guys. As you guys can see, he's got 30 lings on the way. So his pool was rebuilt. Good for Lucira, obviously, because now he's not in that kind of awkward timing anymore. But down to the south, what do we have here? MMA is deciding to drop his Marines in a spread formation. Not sure what that's all about, but now he's going to quickly clump them up, but not really able to do all that much. I think this drop will be negated. Lucira this time around He has Mutalisks on the map, guys, and he can deflect dropships if he's on top of things. He really needs to keep his Overlords over these crevasses or rivers or whatever they are, because this is where the Marines would not be able to pop off the Overlords in transition. So Overlords being kept around and over the oceans, that is what Lucira is going to want to do, but at the same time, he has to figure out a way to deal with this impending push here. MMA's got a lot of tanks, actually. Oh, Lucira there, almost making an attack when those tanks are unsieged, but deciding better of it because he didn't have the rest of his army there, and now falling back into his gold. It looks like he will lose the expansion down to the 6 o'clock location. MMA operating off of 4 bases. He does have the bottom left-hand expansion. And Lucira is operating off of 4 bases as well, so Lucira needs to do something here. He needs to recapture the bottom 6 o'clock because he is even with the Terran in terms of bases, and when a Zerg is even, it is not even. Zerg needs 1 extra base, and Lucira here thinking, you know what, I'm gonna try to even it out by killing off my opponent's base. I actually like this idea a lot. He knows that MMA doesn't have a planetary here. He's caught the SCVs in transition, but a tank is in the back to save them, and Lucira coming in to hit the tanks in the middle with the majority of his army, killing off all the tanks. All the tanks, except for a few, have gone down. Lucira trading his army to wipe out the tanks, and MMA's tank count now at a straggly, measly 4. That does not bode well for MMA. Tanks are the backbone of the Terran army, and MMA is going to have to really get creative with these dropships if he wants to catch up and win this game. I feel like he is behind right now. He has less harvesters, he has slightly less army, but MMA is the one who I believe has a higher multitasking. So he has dropped off once again inside the main. It looks like some Lings and Mutas quickly dispatched over there to take that out. And he is going to be able to wipe out those Marines, but now at the Gold Hatchery, Lucira has another threat, another problem with a very good siege tank line here. Notice good Terran players will always position their tanks in a kind of line formation, which adds depth to the tanks, but it looks like the Mutala is going to be able to exploit that. Oh my god, Lucira running into the Marines, not characteristic of how he plays, and that was not good, and I wonder if maybe he was distracted by the Marines down south here. Once again, MMA is all over the map, guys, and he has dropped down to the bottom right-hand corner. Lucira says, you know what, screw it, I'm going in for an attack, and doesn't look like he has enough. MMA's micro is just too good, and Lucira's drones now force a fight for themselves, which is never a good situation. MMA here is going to happily take as many kills as possible. Those Marines have 2, 3? Wow. Those guys are so upgraded. My god. Lucira here only at 1, 2. He has actually run a couple Zerglings into the gold expansion. He's going to try to flank around into the backside, but meanwhile he's got to deal with this Marine impending attack here at Lucira's front door. Lucira's macro hatch actually in danger here, and not just a macro hatch, but a lot of important buildings as well. Lucira cannot afford to lose here. Meanwhile, he's attacking the SCVs in the backside expansion in the bottom left. Now Lucira has to pull drones off the line, and this is going to be devastating. All those drones, it's just a corpse graveyard around that tank, and Lucira realizes that he is just way too far behind, and in fact there was another drop inside the main. Oh my god. MMA was dropping in the main at the same time too. He killed off the spawning pool, and that is why Lucira GG'd. He said, well, I can't make any more Zerglings, and that pretty much means I'm screwed. Oh my god, these games just continue to get better and better. MMA is showing how crazy he is, and he is making my voice completely wither and die, but that's okay because I have to cast the rest of this series, and I will do it. So the next game is coming out next, guys, and stay tuned, and thank you very much for being subscribed. HD signing out.